Welcome to my YouTube channel. Subscribe my YouTube channel. The night was still, yet full of echoes, a silence that wept through the golden dunes. The stars dimmed as if they knew. A soul was preparing to take flight, not from fear, but with honor, not in sorrow but in sacred submission. This was not the end, but the soft breath before eternity. He sat alone beneath the palm's shadow, the flicker of flame casting memories on his face, a tapestry of pride, of sacrifice, of solitude. Each wrinkle on his brow carried 1,000 verses, and each heartbeat whispered the rhythm of a homeland carved from the desert's own skin. This was the night of reflection, not the night of regret. He gazed upon the horizon, where the sands kissed the moonlight, and he saw in them the dreams of a people, the tears of the forgotten, the laughter of children who once ran through his father's palace, their feet echoing, like the past that never fades. He remembered the first time he held a falcon, its eyes fierce like destiny, its wings wide like ambition. He was not born for the ground. He was sculpted by the winds, fashioned by silence, and strengthened by prayer. He recalled his horse, the one who bore him through battle and beauty, through poetry and pain. That steed, like his spirit, never backed away from the storm, and always returned, even if with bleeding hooves and proud head. He remembered love, not the fleeting, shallow song of lips and perfume, but the deeper bond between souls, that speak in glances and understand through absence. He had known love, with his people, with his land, with his silence. And now the silence returned, not as a void, but as a companion. He wrote verses that night, not for fame but for farewell. They were verses soaked in dignity, woven in longing, yet steeped in serenity. He did not fear the unknown, for a man who walks with truth never walks into darkness. He walks into light. I have lived as a servant of sand and sky, he wrote, my words buried in the wind, my deeds hidden in the hearts I healed. I asked for no throne, but the respect of the falcon. I sought no empire, but the approval of my Lord. If this is my last night, then let it be a symphony of stillness. Let the winds recite my poem, and let my silence speak louder than my name. He stood beneath the stars, bareheaded, barefoot, feeling the earth one last time, the very soil that knew him as a boy, that bore his steps as a man, and that would, perhaps, cradle his bones. He did not cry, for tears are for those who are uncertain. He smiled, for he knew his life was not a fading flame, but a torch passed on. His heart wandered to the orphans he embraced, the broken souls he listened to, the workers whose palms were blistered, but found hope in his words. His was a life not spent in palaces, but in poetry, not only written but lived. Even now, as the moon watched, and the night listened, he offered no farewell to the world. He only whispered a name, the one name. And when the morning hesitated to rise, as if uncertain whether to shine without him, the world paused between light and longing. A sacred hush wrapped the dunes, as if nature itself mourned and honored in equal breath. But he was not gone. He was merely unseen. For spirits such as his do not fade into absence. They transform into presence unbound. The camel paths remembered him, each grain of sand once kissed by his journey, and the palm trees stood taller, for they had witnessed his poetry bloom, not just in ink but in action. He had been the quiet thunder, the calm before peace, the storm after injustice. Now, even in departure, he left not emptiness but illumination. His voice lived in the wind, not just the sharp gusts of winter storms, but in the gentle breezes that cradle a mother's lullaby and stir the heart of a poet searching for meaning. He had been the meaning, the unspoken truth behind every verse, and the sacred pause after every rhyme. The elders sat in circles, telling stories not of gold or conquest, but of nights he walked among them, silent, listening, observing, sharing not orders but presence. He was not above the people. He was among them, a leader not of command, but of care. He once said, "Greatness is not in how high you stand, but in how low you bow to lift another." And now his memory bowed the heavens. Even angels must have paused, watching how the people wept, not from despair, but from reverence. Children repeated his poems, words they barely understood, but felt deep in their innocent hearts. His rhythm had reached even the smallest soul, like rain falling on the roots of a silent tree. He was not merely a poet. He was the rainfall of grace. At the sea's edge, the fishermen paused, casting their nets slower, as if fearing they'd disturb his silence. And in that hush, the ocean spoke back stories of him, of moments he stood beside them, barefoot in humility, rich in soul. Even the falcons flew in solemn grace, wings slicing the air, with silent tributes, no cries, no circles, just soaring, as if reaching to the place where he now belonged. The city dimmed its lights that night, not from mourning, but to see the stars better, the stars he used to point out to his daughter, as metaphors for destiny, for hope, for home. He had once written, "If I must go, bury me where the wind still speaks my name, and the sky remains unchained. Let no gold mark my resting place, only the prayer of the one I loved in silence." And so it was. No marble adorned his memory, no statue stood in his name, but thousands of hearts bore his shape, and thousands of prayers bore his weight. A man is not measured by the stone upon his grave, but by the silence left in his absence. Every desert flower bloomed with unusual brilliance, as if rising to salute their poet, their prince of verses, the one who gave them meaning even when they were unseen. He was always with the unseen, the orphans, the laborers, the forgotten, and now they remember,